and welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Maldas Gopalakrishnan. After Prime Minister Modi pushed for one nation, one law in the country, the Uttarakhand government has taken a step forward in its pursuit to introduce the Uniform Civil Code in the state. The committee formed for the procedure has confirmed the process to prepare the first draft is now complete. The UCC panel assures that they have taken into account opinions from all sides looking into various statutes and uncodified laws, including the statutory framework, not just in India, but in many countries across the world. In fact, Times Now has accessed exclusive details of the first draft of the UCC in Uttarakhand, which appears to make massive headway in pushing for gender equality in the state.
It gives me immense pleasure to inform you that the drafting of the proposed Uniform Civil Code of Uttarakhand is now complete. The report of the expert committee, along with the draft code, would soon be printed and submitted to the Government of Uttarakhand. And I can tell you that will be very soon.
According to exclusive details accessed by Times Now, that the age limit for marriage for women will be increased and registration of marriages will be made mandatory. Husband and wife will have equal grounds for divorce, and the practices of polygamy, Halala and Iddat will be completely abolished. The first draft has also proposed the idea of imposing a limit on the number of children per couple in order to control population growth. The Uniform Civil Code panel in Uttarakhand seems to have negated all personal laws that have historically put women at a disadvantage. The UCC panel has proposed a complete ban on the practice of polygamy. The panel has also proposed to completely abolish the practice of Halala, where a woman was expected to marry another man and consummate the marriage before she can divorce him to remarry her previous husband. The panel also suggests a ban on Iddat, a practice where a woman was expected to observe a certain period following a divorce or death of her spouse before she is allowed to remarry. Now, while the BJP has welcomed the draft and emphasized that UCC was a need of the hour for the nation, several opposition parties have continued to brand the move as divisive and communal and aimed at the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. Listen in.
आज मैं देख रहा था अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कि रंजना प्रकाश देसाई जी और उनके साथियों ने आज कहा है कि हम लगभग ड्राफ्ट बनाकर हमने सारी तैयारी कर ली है और जैसे ही वो ड्राफ्ट हमको मिलेगा आप सबके आशीर्वाद से, देवभूमि की जनता के आशीर्वाद से, यहाँ के देवों के आशीर्वाद से उत्तराखंड में ये काम हम सबसे पहले करेंगे। तो हमारी अपेक्षा है कि देश के सभी राज्य इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ें।
और यदि एक कॉमन सिविल कोड है तो फिर उत्तराखंड का कोड अलग, मिजोरम का अलग, केरल का अलग, गुजरात का अलग, उत्तर प्रदेश का अलग होगा। कॉमन सिविल कोड है, जैसा संविधान की भावना थी, जैसा नेहरू जी ने और अंबेडकर जी ने नीति निर्देशक तत्वों में समावेशित करवाया, यदि वो भावना है, उस भावना का कॉमन सिविल कोड है, तो फिर पूरे देश का सिविल कोड लाने की दिशा में सरकार क्या पहल कर रही है, बातचीत करें। तो ये जो है एक अलग अलग राज्यों के टुकड़ा कॉमन सिविल कोड कैसे है।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, for more on this, we have our guest joining us. Sanju Verma is national spokesperson of the BJP. We have with us Ratan Sharda, noted author. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali is an Islamic scholar joining us on the broadcast. Khaleeq UR Rehman is a spokesperson of the BRS. We have with us Abdul Razzack Khan, who's a political analyst. Saravanan of the DMK also joins this broadcast. And, you know, before I come across to my political panelists, I want to quickly go across to some of our panelists on the specific points that have been made by the UCC. And in fact, before I come to Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I have a specific question for Abdul Razzack Khan. Abdul Razzack Khan, what can be the possible opposition to regressive and discriminatory practices that are proposed to be outlawed by this draft of the Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code panel?
By the words of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you know, Islam is complete, the religion is complete. We don't want any amendments. I mean, it can be your thought that there is discrimination in Islam, but for all those changes that you brought in Uttarakhand's draft, you know, there is a logic. If you sit across with the stakeholders, we can explain the logic to you. Just to cite a simple example, a marriage in a Hindu custom is for 7 janmas. They say that they will be reborn 7 times and they have 7 janmas. But Islam does not believe in that.
No.
Islam believes that a wedding in Islam is a social contract.
Let me cut the argument.
Just complete. I will give you a logic, Madhav.
No. I'm giving you one simple logic. One second. Abdul Razzack Khan. I got your point. I've got your point. There are different belief systems. There are different beliefs. Okay, I got your point. But my question is very simple to you. And my question is this, that when Shariat is not accepted for criminal law, when it is fine for Shariat not to be accepted, whether you're talking about stoning or whatever it may be, or whipping, etc., then why is it so difficult to arrive at a consensus or some other process of consultation and come to a common civil law?
No.
When there is criminal law consensus, why not in civil law?
Believing and accepting the law of the land is also Shariat. The Muslims of those days, when the modern, architects of modern India designed the constitution, we had a guarantee from them that your basic fundamental Islamic laws would be protected. But for social justice, when it comes to crime, yes, we do have accepted, CRPC, IPC and CPCs.
But then your logic is flawed, sir.
To come at is, there are
but then your logic is flawed because you're not accepting Shariat for criminal law. So there is a possibility of reform there. So similarly, there could be a possibility of reform in civil law.
Let me.
So you have to accept that, sir. That even globally, if other Islamic countries have,
but there are certain things which are the fundamentals of a Muslim.
Sir, you remember.
For example, Madhav, you can marry your sister's daughter as a Hindu. But it is haram for me.
Among certain communities,
forbidden for me to marry my sister's daughter.
It is under.
You can never
by
come
the way, that is also in specific communities. Please don't generalize. Please don't generalize.
Marry them in your
Please don't generalize, because there are specific communities under which certain relations there is possibility of intermarriage. Let's be very specific. And I hope we have Zeenat Shaukat Ali with us. Let me, if I can check with
Sir,
my.
All that I would like to say is, let us not.
If I can bring in Zeenat Shaukat Ali.
The pluralism of this country.
Sir, one second.
Unity,
we can maintain the pluralism.
Is the beauty of this country.
Certainly, that is a question.
BJP for its election gains.
Zeenat Shaukat Ali.
Madhav, may I please?
If I can bring in 1 second. Sanju Verma, 1 second. I want to bring in Zeenat Shaukat Ali on this point. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, if you can hear me, the question that is being posed over here is that the religion is complete, there is no scope for reform. Practices, all right, I'm told we have a problem. We have a problem with the audio with Zeenat Shaukat Ali. All right, Sanju Verma, I'm going to allow you to quickly come in on the point that has been made by Abdul Razzack Khan. Please respond to him, because he says that culture is going to be in some way obliterated if you bring in a uniform civil code.
Madhav, I think all of us cutting across political ideologies agree that the Supreme Court has the last word on most issues. And as recently as 29th March 2023, the Supreme Court dismissed both petitions for Uniform Civil Code and petitions against Uniform Civil Code, saying that the only forum to bring in this law and implement it is the Parliament of India. And it actually urged a 3-judge bench of Justice Chandrachud, Justice Narasimha and Justice Pardiwala said that the Parliament, read that as the Modi government, should actually effectuate the Uniform Civil Code, because it will usher in an era of gender neutral and religion neutral laws. Do you know something, Madhav, that till some time back, before the Modi government decided to raise the minimum marriage age of girls to 21 years, just like it is for boys, the minimum threshold for girls was 18 years. But in Muslims, at the age of 15, you are legally entitled to get married if you're a girl. Under Hindus, after divorce, if the woman is not financially independent, most courts say that the husband has to, ensure the well-being and maintenance of the woman till her last breath. But in the Muslim religion, only for 4 months the woman is given alimony, even if she is not financially independent. Uske baad wo Ram bharose ya Allah bharose hai. And most importantly, show me one religion in the world.
In that situation, she can definitely walk into a judicial court.
I did not interrupt you.
Madam, all the courts are open for her. She can ask for justice in any of the courts in the country.
Yeah, okay.
Don't mislead people for your election agenda.
Okay, 1 second.
Don't mislead people.
1 second. Mr. Abdul Razzack Khan.
decision.
I will have to lower all faders at this rate. I will have to lower all faders at this rate. I do not want that to happen. And Sanju Verma.
Why should my fader be
Yeah,
lowered?
no, I'm not lowering your fader. Please calm down. Please calm down. You have made a number of points, Sanju Verma.
I need my time.
Yes, you have got your time. Now, please be a little patient. The panelist who I want specifically to counter the points made by Abdul Razzack Khan is now back with us, and that is Zeenat Shaukat Ali. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I don't know if you were able to hear Abdul Razzack Khan, but
no,
his contention is that when asked about the regressive or discriminatory practices, whether we are talking about polygamy, whether we're talking about halala, all of these practices, he says it is our belief that our religion is complete, that there is no scope for reform, is essentially, if I can paraphrase what he said. Would you like to please correct him on that point, or tell him why is there such urgent need and why there is discrimination and this is urgently required?
So the first thing I would like to tell him that I completely disagree that the religion, this is not the religion. This is the pre-Islamic law that was practiced, that was overcome by the Prophet. The Prophet completely eliminated triple talaq. He did not permit halala. He has spoken very strongly against halala. He has, polygamy. There is only one verse in the Holy Quran that deals with it, and in the same surah it says that you cannot have, a man cannot does not have two hearts within himself. So it is pointing towards monogamy, and it is a restrictive ordinance and not a permissive ordinance. In the old days, there were hundreds of women people could marry, and there were various forms of marriages. This was revealed at the Battle of Uhud when women were left destitute, and so therefore, it is what we call a restrictive and not a permissive ordinance. Polygamy is not a permissive ordinance. Now, the second thing I'd like to point out, the Sharia itself, the fiqh part of the Sharia is not divine.
Mr. Abdul Razzack Khan, you can't interrupt every panelist. You have to listen into what she's saying also. You have raised questions, now be brave enough to listen to her responses. And she's speaking on facts, so listen in.
So fiqh, which is called jurisprudence, has taken 200 years to develop. And in that, human intelligence has been used, and there have been various perspective point of view. In the Sunni law, there is Shia law. Among the Sunnis, there are various, the Hanafi, the Shafi, the Maliki, the Hanbali. There are so many different factions. Now, all these, as you see in Muslim majority countries, have undergone a change in the last, from the 50s downwards, even earlier than that. So the whole point is that jurisprudence has undergone a change, and very gradually the laws have become women-centric, and laws have become equal rights to women, which the Prophet wanted and what the Quran is giving.
Okay, leave aside.
But if you take these laws away, you don't take these are...
No, one second. Abdul Razzack Khan, you have made a number of points. Now, I have a simple question for you. One second. Allow me to conduct the debate. Abdul Razzack Khan, in today's day and age, do you believe, Mr. Razzack Khan, you do not do this. No, Mr. Razzack Khan, you are not hosting this debate. I am. Either you listen to my questions. No.
What she has said
I'm going to lower. If you are not going to take questions, I'm going to lower your fader today. This is not done. This is not a freewheeling debate. Every other panelist is being disciplined. You will also be disciplined like them.
Please.
My simple question to you is this. Do you believe in today's day and age, men and women have an equal right to inheritance or not? Yes or no?
Definitely, yes. My religion has given equal rights to women.
Is that factually correct, Zeenat Shaukat Ali?
India is not doing it. All these 75 years, we have never had equal rights. That Islam has given us, that Muslim men have taken away. The patriarchy.
Madam, please allow me. Madam, there are people who want reforms in this religion. A great emperor like Akbar came ahead with Deen-e-Ilahi. He wanted to bring in reforms, who himself deceived the religion. There were some section of people who believed in him, including people who have thoughts like you. Today, madam, there are certain people who want a change in Quran, like Wasim Rizvi. So the nation, the religion does not run on your thoughts or my thoughts. There is a body called All India Muslim Personal Law Board.
I want to answer
whatever the Muslim Personal Law Board decides is the final word for Muslims in this country.
Okay.
Not what you say.
One second. That itself is a contestable position. That itself is a position which many will contest. But let me bring in other panelists on this. Khaleeq UR Rehman, let me bring you in on this, because my question to you is very simple. The question I've just asked Abdul Razzack Khan. You know, there is of course an urgent need for a number of reforms. Zeenat Shaukat Ali has elaborated on the need for that. But my simple point is this, that if practices such as halala, like polygamy, are being done away with, what can be the possible objection to that in today's day and age? Or equal share in property?
Yeah, absolutely.
Khaleeq UR Rehman, please respond.
See, first of all, hello? Can you hear me now?
You're
is
audible.
my
Please
voice
go ahead.
clear now? Am I audible? Okay. First of all, let me tell you, because the debate on UCC is being projected as if it's a Hindu versus Muslim, as if it's a 15% versus 85%. Let me tell you that we have to come out of that mindset and we have to put straight in the context.
How is it, sir? When several leaders of opposition have said tribals have problems, there are Sikh groups that have problems. How is it Hindu versus Muslim? This is about overall equal reforms.
Madhav, let me complete. First of all, let me tell you that the Uttarakhand government, do you consider Uttarakhand as a part of India or not?
Is that even a question? Is that even a question? What kind of a question is this?
See, the Uttarakhand government is not empowered to make any kind of amendment, any kind of is not entitled to bring in any kind of bill. So what is this draft? This draft is totally unconstitutional.
For the state, sir, they can do it for their own state. They are enacting it for the state. What is so difficult to understand?
No. I mean, you mean to say that every state in the country is going to be independent, and then what's the use of the center then?
Yes, I want
Sir,
to
does this not come under the concurrent list?
No, then you are defeating the very purpose of the UCC. If you are allowing every state to have its own law.
Okay. Sanju Verma, it's defeating the purpose of UCC if every state has a separate law. Please respond to that.
Okay. You know, I think Khaleeq UR Rehman has raised a very interesting point. And I just want to say this, that under entry 5, list 3, schedule 7 of the constitution, it says that there are 2 ways to bring in uniform civil code. You know, either the central government brings in UCC or respective state governments using the powers under entry 5 under concurrent list of the constitution, they can bring in a civil code which is common to the citizens of that particular state, and then all the laws can be subsumed later into one single law. So there are 2 ways of doing it, and if a state does it, it then finally has to get presidential approval under Article 256 of the Constitution. So there are 2 ways of doing it, but finally all laws will be subsumed into one single code, and all personal laws will run subservient to this single code. So there is no scope for confusion. And Madhav, very quickly, I just want to say one thing. You know, everybody says that why Hindu laws are not being modified and codified? Why are you after the laws of only minority communities? So let me tell you, Hindus banned sati way back in 1829. We banned child marriage way back in 1870. We banned female infanticide way back in 1929, and in 1978 it was made a punishable offence. And we banned dowry, making it a punishable offence in 1961. So if there is one community which has progressively codified and modified its archaic customs, it is the Hindus.
Right.
So please do not sit here and give a bhashan to the Hindu community.
Okay. I want before I go across to Khaleeq UR Rehman, one second. Before I go across to Khaleeq UR Rehman, I want to bring in Mr. Saravanan on a simple point. Mr. Saravanan, you know, there are societies and times change. You know, basic aspects such as underage marriage, leave alone what BJP is saying or what anybody else is saying. You know, what the World Health Organization says, what the UNICEF says about underage marriage, you know, its health implications, the propensity for, you know, violence being led to, etc., etc. These are all things that are global trends, and in today, at some point of time, our society has to, you know, come up and face these realities, the social evils that exist, and find ways for us to move along and progress as a society. You know, with that goal in mind, can anybody object to what is being proposed currently in the draft of the UCC proposed by the Uttarakhand panel? Mr. Saravanan.
You're right, Madhav, but the preamble of our constitution says secularism is intrinsic to our constitution. And we are bringing in the Uniform Civil Code under Article 44, which is the directive principle of state policy. And we have Article 25, which is a fundamental right to profess any religion and whatever you want to do. So how are you going to reconcile this? On the hand, the Constitution says you have a right to profess your religion, your practices and everything. That is preserved. On the other hand, this is what we are having. This is the fundamental question. That apart, see, we are talking about a uniform civil code. Is there any unity or is there any way uniformly the Hindus are treated across the country? Not yet. The BJP should bring a law to ensure that equal treatment of all Hindus. There is discrimination prevalent even now. We are seeing, I can cite an example, the recent example of the President, Draupadi Murmu. She was standing and offering her prayers, and we had Ashwini Vaishnav and Dharmendra Pradhan in the same temple where they were offering the prayers.
Mr. Saravanan.
If this kind of discrimination,
Mr. Saravanan, sir, you are making a charge. You are making a charge against the President of the country. Let's go one second, Mr. Saravanan, please. Mr. Saravanan, please.
I am putting out facts which is in the public domain.
One second. Mr. Saravanan, my only request to you today, my simple request to you today is that while caste discrimination is a social evil and no one is trying to brush it under the carpet, are we not complicating it by mixing it up with Uniform Civil Code? And is there an equivalence to be drawn there? Because I think it's a slightly unfair equivalence. Civil codes are for specific points of marriage, of divorce, of inheritance, of adoption. By talking about social mores, you're mixing up the two issues. And I want Ratan Sharda to come in. One second.
It's not mixing up.
Of course it is, sir. Because you're mixing up caste issues which are certainly not acceptable.
It is intrinsic.
How is it intrinsic?
When you're talking about a uniform civil code, when you don't have
what is discrimination between castes have to do? Sir, one at a time. Sanju Verma, 1 second. I want Ratan Sharda to comment on this because he says it's intrinsic. I want Ratan Sharda to respond to him. Mr. Sharda, please.
Well, there are people out there who are trying to confuse various matters, various issues of Uniform Civil Code and trying to muddy up the entire discussion. Saravanan talks about an incident, I do not know correct or wrong, but only Hindus have very strong anti-caste laws. Do Muslims have it? They have got Azlas, Ashraf and 72 kind of caste. Do they have any law against that? We don't have. In Christianity, are different churches for different sects. Is there any law to stop this? No. So this is one thing that Hindus, as Sanju pointed out, they are all reforming themselves. Secondly, when the Congress gentleman says that all the laws are perfect, and Zeenat ji has rightly pointed out that Sharia is not divine, it is open to change. You will find in Syria, Egypt, Turkey, Morocco, Palestine, Bangladesh, they have changed the polygamy laws. They have changed Sharia laws. There are different Sharia laws in Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, etc. Now that is aside, I don't want to muddy up this entire debate into Muslim versus Hindu. Very clearly, what is a civil law? It talks about marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption, child's right, women's right. They cannot be different. In today's world, you cannot have in a secular society, so-called scientific temper that the DMK claims to have, where women can have different rights from men, where some women in Parsi community cannot adopt, when some women in Christianity cannot have easy divorce, vis-a-vis a man can have, where the laws are such that Muslim cannot adopt a child, and so many other things. It is not question of Muslim versus Hindu at all. It is question of doing justice to most vulnerable part of the society, that is women and children. Having said that, should we allow that to be covered up under religious bias? We cannot, we should not. And if you talk of, complete laws, is anybody here will dare to say that halala can be justified by any law? A man makes a stupid mistake, he gives talaq, then to overcome that talaq, women have to pay the penalty. Such bizarre laws will be justified by people like Khaleeq UR Abdul Razzack. I cannot understand that mixing up this issue.
It might be bizarre for you, but not for a Muslim.
It does stop any religious practices.
No, please.
Sir, Zakia, I'm shocked, Mr. Abdul Razzack Khan, that you're defending something like halala.
Sir, the Supreme
how can you
said,
No, I mean, everyone is entitled to their beliefs.
One minute. I am not defending halala. I am not defending halala.
You just did.
I remember.
The
You just did,
Supreme
sir.
Court once said that Hindu religion is not a religion. It is a way of life. So you may have scope for changes. Morning you can change, evening you can change.
I am sorry, Mr. Abdul Razzack Khan. That's a weak argument. That's a weak argument.
Yes, our religion is a religion.
Many will say that it's something, it's a practice.
What is a weak argument?
Sir, when the whole world, Mr. Abdul Razzack Khan, Mr. Ratan Sharda just mentioned how global jurisprudence in various countries has changed. Polygamy has been removed from several countries, including a country as backward as Pakistan has changed it, but we cannot change it. Why?
Yes. Supreme Court clearly says today you have one nation.
Sir, you please don't compare the Muslim of India with the Muslim of Pakistan.
Are you saying the Muslim of India is more backward? Surely not. Surely not. Surely not, Mr. Abdul Razzack Khan. And I want Zeenat Shaukat Ali to respond to you on those points. Zeenat Shaukat Ali,
with the Muslim of Pakistan.
you know, there's some very strange logic here that Mr. Abdul Razzack Khan is putting out today. From almost defending halala and saying that I'm not defending it, to, you know, saying that other religions are a way of life, and then saying that you don't compare us to Pakistan because Pakistan's reformed but we won't. What's going on?
No. The basic tenets of a religion, one has to understand that the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, was not born in a vacuum. There was a society in which he was born, and that society had certain laws that were being practiced that he abolished, that he overcame, that he removed, and that he very clearly rejected. That those laws, over a period of time, crept back into jurisprudence, and they have been debated over the years. And, you know, fiqh, as I have said, has taken human intelligence and changed over the years. You find that a variety of Muslim countries all over the world, some of which have been named, have undergone changes. And they're all Muslim majority countries.
I want Khaleeq UR Rehman to come in on that point. Khaleeq UR Rehman, do you agree with Abdul Razzack Khan or do you agree with Zeenat Shaukat Ali? Do you feel there is need for reform to be on line with where the whole world is headed, where global jurisprudence is headed, even as far as Islamic countries are concerned, Khaleeq UR Rehman? Or do you feel there is a need for such practice to continue, which many on the panel today are saying they are regressive?
See, first of all, let me tell you that this matter was already referred. The UCC was already referred to the 21st Law Commission, and 21st Law Commission has gone into the greater depth. And after that, they came out with the decision that the UCC is neither desirable nor it is recommended, and it is not necessary. Then the NDA government, the BJP government, has kept mum on this for the last 9 years, though they had already included this in their manifesto. Now, just before the election, they have again raised it up in order to make it a purely political issue.
It's purely being done for Lok Sabha elections 2024. Sanju Verma, that's a charge from the BRS. You're doing this only for political reasons. Respond.
Okay, Madhav, very quickly I will just say this. You know, I won't quote too many judgments, but I will just say that the most historic judgment was way back in 1985 when Justice Y.V. Chandrachud, the father of the current CJI, said a common civil code will help the cause of national integration by removing disparate loyalties to law which have conflicting ideologies. And he said it's a matter of regret that Article 44 for so many years has remained a dead letter. And then in the Sarla Mudgal versus Union of India case in 1995, Justice Kuldeep Singh said Uniform Civil Code should have been implemented as of yesterday, and the most famous case being the Keshavanand Bharti case versus the state of Kerala 1972-73, because Abdul Razzack Khan said that Uniform Civil Code will affect national unity and our diversity and plurality. In the Keshavanand Bharti case, the Supreme Court said Uniform Civil Code promotes national integration. Uniform Civil Code promotes national integration. It has been said by the Supreme Court. I did not interrupt you. Please don't do that.
Hindi could not promote national integration.
My last point. Madam, why do you want to allow this guy to heckle?
Madam, Amit Shah last year said...
No, we have limited time. We have limited time now. We have limited time now. Abdul Razzack Khan, you have spoken out of turn also. Please allow others to make their points. Sanju Verma, quickly, 10 seconds. Quickly make your point.
In 10 seconds, I will just ask some of the people on this panel who are against Uniform Civil Code. You may be having sisters or bhatijis or bhanjis or cousins. Will you allow your sister to get married at the age of 15? If she is divorced, will you not want her to get alimony from her husband if if she is not financially independent for the rest of her life? Or
Okay.
would you like her to be thrown under the bus
Okay.
अचानक
after 4
मुस्लिम
months?
बच्चियों के लिए मोदी जी का प्रेम क्यों जगा?
No, one second. I want to come in now. We are almost out of time. Almost out of time.
मोदी जी का प्रेम क्यों जगा है?
Almost out of time. We are out of time. I'm sorry. I have to lower faders now. Mr. Saravanan, one second. Saravanan, at the end of the day, if a 14 or a 15-year-old girl is getting married, it doesn't matter which religion she is getting married to. That's a question I asked you earlier as well. And in today's day and age, to believe that women do not deserve an equal share in inheritance from a man, those are ideas that certainly the time has come. Do you not feel so?
Yeah, see, there's no doubt about that. But this is not the way to implement that.
So
see,
why not participate in the consultation, if I may put it that way?
UCC is a dog whistle. They want to subjugate every other issue. They want to put this issue alone in 2024. You are not debating the Manipur issue. Manipur is burning. Are we debating that? No.
We have, sir. Please don't say that. We have reported extensively. Not only reported extensively, Mr. Rahul Gandhi went there. All of that has been reported. So please don't accuse. No. Please don't accuse us of not covering Manipur. That is a little unfair. That is not just a little. That is very unfair, Mr. Saravanan.
100 lives have lost. 100 lives have been lost.
No one in their right mind, sir. No one in their right mind can ignore something like Manipur. It is a very, very serious issue. No doubt. I am not denying that, Saravanan, for a minute. And please do not accuse us of not covering Manipur. We have extensively covered the violence. We have extensively covered what has happened over there.
The BJP that they are trying to divert the national attention from the pressing issues.
Is NK Stalin supporting?
We are running out of the petrol diesel price.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we're completely out of time on this debate. We're completely out of time. What will happen as far as this push by the Uttarakhand government, of course, remains to be seen. But certainly, of course, as far as the debate surrounding Uniform Civil Code, that's certainly something that's there in the public domain. There are various consultative processes that are currently underway. We'll, of course, have to see what comes out of all of that. I'd like to thank all our guests on the first debate, Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, Khaleeq UR Rehman, Abdul Razzack Khan and A. Saravanan.